What's going on, my brothers and sisters? Man, I got to show you this video that I stumbled across, a couple of clips that I'm actually about to show you. And this guy, he says that God spoke to him and told him to deliver this message. He had quite a few views and likes and comments on TikTok. I think I seen it in one or two places. And so I watched the clip. I said, okay, this is interesting. Let me see what he's talking about. And let me say something. He had an encounter. He claims it was with God. I believe it was with a lowercase g god, a demon god. And before we play the clip, I don't want to just say stuff without giving you some kind of Bible to back that up, right? Some people will say there's no such thing as a demon god. Second Corinthians 4:4, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine upon them. Exodus 23, thou shalt have no other gods before me. And so we know in Daniel chapter 10, it talks about the principality that the angel was fighting as Daniel was praying. And so I believe he probably did have some kind of uh, spiritual encounter, but it wasn't with the God that we know. All right, capital G. All right, there's lowercase g gods in this world pushing agendas, and you just got to be very careful. And the reality is, you got to understand before I play the video, you have to understand that on the demonic side, look at these, like we played it in the video recently, witches and warlocks. They know there's power in the demonic side and they use that power. Fortune tellers, people be like, oh man, I read the horoscope and I went to the fortune teller and they were able to tell me something about my life and it was so on point. Yeah, because demons can get information too. Demons are moving in that spiritual realm. So you have to be careful. You have to test every word that you hear. And guess what? There's people in the church, right? Who they were witches, they were warlocks in the world, they were in the cult in the world, and then they come over to the church and they realize they can make money using what they learned on the demonic side to come give you a prophecy because they realize, oh man, if I people will line up for a prophetic word. And so if I use my gifting that I got when I was in the occult, right? That demonic gifting, that demonic and let me say this, like I always want to back everything I'm saying up with Bible. Remember King Saul, he went to a witch and she was able to raise up the prophet Samuel. Remember, Samuel had died. So make no mistake about it, demons do have some kind of power, right? And so without further ado, I'm going to play the clip because I don't want this video to be long, and I'm going to explain why this is so important, why I'm even talking about this today. It actually has a lot to do with some of the other things that we have discussed recently. All right, so check it out.
Okay, this has been something that has been sitting with me for a minute. And the way it was just brought to me, there is no denying that I understand that this is something that he indeed wants me to say. I'm not going to put limits on what God is going to do because, quite frankly, God can make y'all a believer in a snap of a finger. But with that being said, I'm going to say this. I don't know what all God is doing in making all things new, but God is about to start ordaining, or probably has already ordained, but making it known that he is ordaining same-sex marriages. Yes, listen, I know.
Watch this video and I'll be right back.
The reason I'm venting, the reason why I was crying today is because
Let me stop it right there. All right. Before we go any further with these other clips, you heard what he said. He said God told him, right, that he's getting ready to, or he already has begun to ordain the same way that Adam, all right, and Eve was created for Adam. God ordained that. He put that together. Let me tell you something. Some people say this guy's just crazy, but I would like to present this to you. As we said, the gods of this world. There's demonic voices speaking to people. And to not be long-winded, 2 Timothy 4:17. Watch this. I charge thee, therefore, before God and the Lord Jesus Christ, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing in his kingdom. Preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. All right. So it's not just motivational message when you preach. When you preach, some of the messages is not going to be popular. When you preach, some of the messages, even when you prophesy, people are not going to want to hear it. But look at this. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, But after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachings, having itching ears, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and it shall be turned to what? Fables. Now look at this. 1 Timothy 4:1. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron. So there's going to be people like this guy, right? And the seducing spirit is obviously, clearly, you see, he obviously struggles probably with that lifestyle. The seducing spirit comes and says, hey, you can be a Christian and still be LGBTQ. You don't have to change. God made you how you are. Matter of fact, God, he's waking the religious folks up. Look, there's momentum in the churches. They're starting to accept you guys. And you'll be so blind and so deceived that you believe this is a move of God. Like I'm telling you, the deception is going to be strong in the end times. We're getting to the point now where there's guys who they keep pushing this stuff and they're having these surgeries, and it's like you got people who used to be straight saying, you know what, look at this man that had a surgery, but they did the surgery so good that this man now looks like a beautiful woman, and because the lust is so strong, they say, I don't see nothing wrong with it. They had the surgery, so it's not. What they'll say is, I'm not gay because they had the surgery. And that's the level of deception that we're getting to. Even more so, right? I'm going to keep this real quick. They don't want to put it on the birth certificates no more, that the baby was born male, the baby was born female. If you're not careful, some of you are going to go out there and find somebody. We used to joke about, let me see the birth certificate. We used to joke about, let me see some baby pictures. They're trying to transition children, right? And if it's not on the birth certificate, this person been living their whole life saying, oh, I'm a woman, but they were a man. Some of you, the surgeries are going to be so good. There's no proof on the birth certificate. There's no baby pictures. If you're not careful, you're going to be deceived. And there's going to be people who are married to a man being married to a man their whole life and not even know it. You better watch out. That's the level of deception that is going to take us to Sodom and Gomorrah. And so I'm going to play the clip because some of you guys are coming in late. I'm going to play it one more time. It's real short. And then we'll go into the next couple of clips and we'll call it a day.
Okay, this has been something that has been sitting with me for a minute. And the way it was just brought to me, there is no denying that I understand that this is something that he indeed wants me to say. I'm not going to put limits on what God is going to do because, quite frankly, God can make y'all a believer in a snap of a finger. But with that being said, I'm going to say this. I don't know what all God is doing in making all things new, but God is about to start ordaining, or probably has already ordained, but making it known that he is ordaining same-sex marriages. Yes, listen, I know.
Watch this video and I'll be right back.
Let me stop it right there. This is why I bring up, all right, this conversation with Jackie Hill Perry and Lecrae, where we're saying things like, the gospel isn't there to make me straight, or I didn't come to Jesus to be straight, because this is the type of deception. And we see that these Methodist churches have already accepted it. We've seen that society is trying to accept it and push the bathrooms, and the level and the delusion is so strong, right? And so you have to understand, we have to be careful what we say. We cannot be like muddying the waters where it's not clear, because that's all the devil needs. Just a little bit of confusion, right? Just a little bit. What did you mean by that? I mean, I didn't really. Why did you say it like that? And that is what's going on in the church. And so many people might not like what I'm saying. They might not like that I'm calling things out so boldly. But you got to understand, like, this cat probably really believes that. And so the thing is, for those of you who came in late, the Bible talks about what in Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 4, and whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. Exodus 20, you shall have no other gods before me. In the Daniel chapter 10, he was fighting the principality of the area. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. All right. It talks about in 1 Timothy 4, and now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devil. So the seducing spirit is going to say, this is a word from God. And because it's a seducing spirit, it's playing on what you want, right? That's why you got to be careful with all these prophets running around and people lining up around the building to see them. The reason a lot of these prophets are popular is because they're prophesying with a seducing spirit what you want to hear. You're going to be famous. You're going to be rich. You're going to be wealthy. God is getting ready to open some amazing doors for you, and people are eating it up. All right. And so that's part of the seducing spirit. And then 2 Timothy 4, what does it say in verse 3? For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine. We're getting to a place where we can't even call wrong wrong anymore. All right. We can't call evil evil anymore. And the Bible says, woe to them that call good evil and evil good. Woe to those that call bitter sweet and sweet bitter. And so if you think that's just like a random clip and you think, I'm overreacting with the Jackie Hill interview and the Lecrae interview, and I'm just, saying all this for no reason, well, let's play a couple more clips.
The reason I'm venting, the reason why I was crying today is because we're not supposed to be gay, right? And I guess I'm supposed to be getting out of this lifestyle, right? Or whatever the case may be, and being delivered.
Yo, I hate that you're in that place. I've heard this story too many times, and it breaks my heart every time I hear it. In my effort to encourage you, I'm going to challenge you a little bit. At the foundation of the thoughts you shared is the belief that you need to be delivered from your sexuality. What if I told you you don't need to be delivered from your sexuality? What if I encourage you to get delivered from the harmful theology that convinces you that your sexuality is inherently evil? The only thing wrong with you is that you think something is wrong with you. You don't need to be delivered from who you are. You'll never truly be at peace practicing a theology that causes you to hate who you are. If you're feeling convicted about something that ain't harming nobody, that's not God. That's the anxiety that your church's theology instilled in you. And I, just like you, love the tradition of my church. But you can hold on to some of your traditions while rethinking your theology. You don't need to be delivered from who you are. You need to love who you are.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Lauren.
We're from New Jersey. We're grateful for this community because it serves as a brave space where we get to unpack the beliefs that we grew up with.
And we feel seen as individuals and a married couple. If you want to join the rest of us in our digital community where we engage topics like these every day.
This clip right here, I didn't want to post it from CNN because I didn't want to get a copyright, but this is, apparently some kind of Christian father. He's like, hey, I didn't want to lose, my child, my son. And so this is after the interview. It's his son, but his son transitioned. And you see that he's brushing his son's hair. And look in the eyes right here. Now look at this right here. All these LGBTQ, it's kind of fast right here, but this is in the black church and it's spreading everywhere. It's not just the black church. And so the issue that I have, right, is when we say things like, the gospel isn't here to make you straight. When we say things like, I didn't come to Jesus to be straight, you have to understand that there's an agenda in the world, right? You have to understand that there is a demonic agenda pushing this kind of stuff. And we cannot be politically correct and that I don't want to offend anybody, because let's not act like the devil isn't doing what he's doing. That is why it's so important to point it out. That is why it's so important to speak about it. And it might not be popular. People might think, oh, this guy's just clout chasing. No, we have to be careful what we put out there and make sure that we are not coming to alignment with what the gods of this world are doing. So with that being said, I don't want this to be longer than that. www.marcusrogersministries.org. If you want to support what we're doing here in Chicago, go stream the Glory Carriers album. If you haven't listened to it, it's a worship album, worship music. And I got one more rap album dropping at maybe in a week or two. All right. Love you guys. Be blessed. Let me know what you think in the comment section.